Hello and welcome to Political Update today on Osun State Television. I am Simiata Baru. As Osun State prepares to go to the polls tomorrow, all eyes are on the contest that goes beyond the battle for the government house. The election comes amid political realignment, party dispute, defections, allegations of vote buying, and concerns over electoral violence and the credibility of the process. And with the outcome likely to have implications beyond Osun and offer a glimpse into the political mood ahead of 2027. The big question is, will this election be decided by the strength of the candidate, the power of the parties, or the choices of the voters? On Political Update today, we are looking at the Osun election, the issues shaping the contest, and what is truly at stake for the people of the state and Nigeria's democracy. We'll take a break now, and when we come back, it will be time to engage the guests. Let's take more highlights of political activities this week.
The presidential candidate of the Allied People's Movement, APM, and Governor of Osun State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, on Thursday, announced former Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Lawal Musa Daura, as his running mate for the 2027 presidential election. Makinde made the announcement at the elective national convention of the APM held at the Rilwano Adamu Square, Government House, Bauchi, where he also declared that the task before the opposition ahead of the 2027 general election was bigger than merely winning power. He said the central challenge was to give Nigerians a genuine choice about the future of the country and demonstrate with measurable plans and records how an alternative government would improve their lives. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio and other prominent chieftains of the All Progressives Congress (APC) on Thursday rallied support for the party's Osun State governorship candidate in Saturday's poll, Bola Oyebamiji, as the party concluded its campaign with a mega rally in Osogbo. Akpabio, who represented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the rally, was joined by the pioneer APC National Chairman, Chief Bisi Akode, APC National Chairman, Professor Netawe Yiwada, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Others included the Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, Yobe State Governor Meyi Malabuni, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo, Ekiti State Governor Abiodun Oyebanji, Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo, and the APC National Secretary, Senator Ajibola Basiru, among others. Speaking on behalf of the President, Akpabio assured the electorate in the state of their safety, urging them to turn out en masse to participate in the poll.
On behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, just say hello to the good people of Osun State. The President has asked me to come and to greet you. He said I should enjoin you to remain peaceful. And this one is my own word, not his own. So if you want to quote it right, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is saying that for the good people of Osun State and the APC in Osun State, note that if you are on a bush track and you are escorted by the lion, you cannot be afraid of goats. Did you hear what I said? I said if you are on a bush track and you are escorted by the lion, can you be afraid of goats? Can you be afraid of goats? The President is saying, please, that he has put in place enough security for the good people of Osun State in general to vote peacefully come Saturday, 15th day of August 2026.
The Imole Campaign Council has dismissed the endorsement of the All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate Bola Oyebamiji by Christopher Imomolen, describing him as a factional leader of the Accord Party, whose endorsement does not represent the position of the party. The council said the officially recognized national chairman of the Accord Party, Maxwell Wooden, remained committed to the re-election of Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke ahead of Saturday's governorship election. This was contained in a statement signed by the spokesperson for the Imole Campaign Council, Pelumi Olajengbesi, on Thursday. This comes as after Imomolen, who described himself as the national chairman of the Accord Party, publicly endorsed Oyebamiji at the APC mega rally in Osogbo.
And those are the stories we've been able to track in the course of the week on Political Update. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. I am Senior Tabari once again. And of course, we're looking at the issues arising from the conduct of the Osun election. It will be tomorrow. And of course, we have two guests here to dissect the different angles that are important to the national discourse. We have Prince Tosin Adeluyi, a political analyst in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Presenter, I greet you.
All right, we also have Mr. Segun Sky Akinyemi, a public commentator and politician, joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, let's start from the studio. A lot has been said about the Osun State, governorship election. It's the last, off-circuit election to be conducted this year ahead of the 2027 election. And you have INEC come out to tell us how prepared they are. Like 2 million residents are ready for this particular poll. And I want you to give an overview of what you think tomorrow would be. A lot of speculation. Some talked about violence. Of course, security agencies have also deployed a high number of security agents on ground to curb any excesses. Looking at it as a political analyst, what exactly can you predict would happen tomorrow?
Yeah, thank you, the presenter. Tomorrow election in the Osun State, having been the only all-cycle election before the general elections, the atmosphere is so tensed because the political parties want to show strength. They want to tell people of Osun State that they are in charge of the state politically. But beyond that, I just hope that the security people, the INEC, are going to be up and doing. They are going to make sure that the people are allowed to vote and their votes were counted. In Osun, we have, I will limit the race in Osun to a 3-horse race. The incumbent, which is Ademola Adeleke, that he wants to return. The Oyebamiji, Bola Oyebamiji, from APC, he wants to tell the people of Osun that we can change directions, we can align with the party in the federal. And the third force, that is the ADC candidate, that is Najib Salam. He is also looking at it that we can forgo the two political parties, the dominancy, and we can look at another angle. Beyond that, I think the people of Osun will decide, based on the popularities, who among them have really connected with the grassroots. The incumbent will have to tell them, this is what I have done. The opposition will have to tell him that what you have done is not enough. As an incumbent, you can say that you have to defend the past. While the opposition will promise on the future. Above all, with what we have been saying, the election is going to be, I do not see a large margin between who will win that election. It's going to be so close, especially between Ademola Adeleke, the incumbent governor, and APC party candidates.
Of course, we have about 15 political parties contesting this particular election. Yes, you can talk about the ones that are very serious, especially when they were campaigning now. And of course, you have the major three, sort of. And of course, you have the ADC candidate. You have, like you said, you have Najim Salam coming from the ADC, and of course APC Bola Oyebamiji, and then you have the incumbent under the Accord Party. Let me engage Mr. Segun Sky Akinyemi. I don't know what you think would happen in Osun State tomorrow. The president already gave, a commendation of what INEC is doing, and then they are charging INEC that these, of course, will show how prepared they are ahead of the 2027 election. How do you see it? Can you hear me? All right, maybe I should come back to the studio for that technical itch. The president is charging INEC as well, that these, of course, would show practically what you've been telling us about the preparedness of this institution ahead of the 2027 general elections. I know this is kind of tricky, sort of. A lot is being expected from INEC, and then the security agencies, like you have also said, is still going to be an issue of importance to the people of Osun State and Nigeria as a whole. But before we continue, let's quickly take this break. We'll come back to pick the questions and answers. We apologize for that short break. Of course, we are still on political updates on Ogun State Television. We are engaging our guests via Zoom, and of course, is currently in Osun State. Mr. Sky Akinyemi is a politician, and yes, in the studio we also have Prince Tosin Adeluyi, a political analyst. Mr. Sky, this of course is an interesting election ahead of the 2027 general election, and yes, a lot of permutation, a lot of suggested assumptions have been going on. Analysts are saying all sorts of things, but we want you to tell us precisely what's happening in Osun, since you're from there, and of course you know what the people are saying. Over 2 million voters are going out tomorrow to vote for their choice candidate.
I think I need to make a correction. I am from Osun State, but I'm currently not in Osun State.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a mix-up. I'm from Osun State, but I'm not in Osun State presently. However, I am on top of the situation. I have direct information from Osun State with what is going on. I have people on the ground, and so I am updated in real time of the situation in Osun State. It is an election that can be described that it has reached fever pitch, In fairness, I don't think we've seen any election that has created such a charged atmosphere like this in the last 10, 30 years in Nigeria. All the gladiators, the state actors, the non-state actors, everyone is just everyone is just issuing statements here and there. Some have been careless statements, some have been measured. But what's important is, while I'm not here to campaign for any candidate, my interest is looking at this election from the perspective of the Osun voter. Because politicians will make claims, but ultimately it is the people that will decide. The governor, the incumbent, he has the advantage of being the incumbent. He has been there for 4 years. He's been able to demonstrate what he can do. However, incumbency can also have its disadvantage. If the voters believe the government has not met their expectations, they have the right to reject that government via the polls. The key question is whether Osun voters believe Adeleke deserves another 4 years based on his performance. On the other hand, Mr. Bola Oyebamiji, the challenger from APC, he has the advantage of being in the ruling party at the federal level, and he has a strong political structure. But I think his main albatross, what he has to surmount, is the fact that he's being projected by a former governor of Osun State who does not necessarily have a fantastic record with Osun citizens. So the experiences the people have had under that governor, that history cannot totally be wiped off. So now, if you are coming as as a, what's it called? If a former governor that doesn't have a very good record is projecting you as a candidate in that state, obviously the people will now say, okay, you know what? What is his own record in Osun State? So, that is Oyebanji's main albatross. Now, the third force, the candidate of the ADC, Mr. Anojim Salam, he's also a prominent politician in Osun State. He's been a speaker, he's been there, and his party ADC presents itself as an alternative to the major political forces in Osun State. So the major question for ADC is whether their growing visibility can actually be converted to votes. So those are the strengths and the disadvantages all the candidates have. But what's important is the way the politicians and the challengers, the different players, the way they have charged up the atmosphere, the level of violence that has happened in that state is so disappointing. At this stage in our democracy,
let's talk about the security of the election now. Now that you talked about violence, we have a lot of security agencies present in Osun State currently. Are they trying so well to douse all the?
With the information coming out yesterday, we saw some people intercepted by the army. Allegedly, they were said to be loyal to a particular candidate of one of the parties. I don't want to mention this because I want to be as neutral as possible. We saw the security agencies intercept them in their bus, the campaign bus of their party. They found operated. But the news we are actually now getting is that those people have been released, and that even their so-called leader have been released as well. So it brings to questions the neutrality and the integrity of the kind of the security agencies on the ground. This election is very polarized. There's been threats across board. There's been killings and shootings everywhere. It is now down for the security agencies to prove themselves that they're going to be above board. They're going to maintain law and order without being partial, and they're going to ensure that the atmosphere is free and fair. There's a level playing field. The people have the freedom and the peace of mind to go out and cast their votes for the candidates of their choice. The security agencies have to ensure that all the parties and their supporters feel secured enough. They don't want to create an atmosphere of fear where people will be scared of going out to go and vote, because that itself will lead to a lot of voter apathy.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Akinyemi. We come back to the studio to meet our guest, Mr. Adeluye. He has talked about the situation of things in Osun State, and of course you've not also said something different from that. The atmosphere is fully charged, and looking at INEC record, about 2 million, permanent voters card have been collected by electorate. And yes, we are expecting something good turnout. We talk about voter apathy, at every election. Do you foresee something like that happening tomorrow?
Yes, I will say yes to that question, because when the election is approaching, people should be mindful of the kind of statements they utter out, most especially from people that we look up to the society. The statement credited to, I saw it, to a senator in Osun that you should kill anybody with social party.
That has become controversial.
Yeah. He later said that was not what he meant. But then we said it in Yoruba.
Are you surprised as an analyst how such a comment could come from a politician? Looking at the history.
I'm surprised. That kind of statement will send voters away. If you hear that he will be killed, nobody wants to be killed. As I don't want to be killed. You don't want to be killed. So when somebody, a state figure, now said anybody is also identified with social party should be killed, that will in turn promote voter apathy. People will run away. irrespective of their interest, irrespective of their choice, they want to make the election. None of their interest or choice worth being killed.
So can we trust the security agencies now?
Yes, I want to say that I appreciate the security agency because they have to fight the person that made that statement. He later do some damage control, but yet it will have an effect on the election tomorrow. I have to be sincere with you. It may not mean it outrightly, but then we should be very cautious of what we utter out of our mouth, because people look up onto them to see the directions on which the election, the states is going.
All right, Mr. Akinyemi, it's also important to talk about another aspect which has a lot to do with tomorrow's election. It has started way before the election. Allegations of vote buying from Party A, Party B, Party C. You know, the allegations keep flying. Evidence is being thrown on social media that, you know, vote buying is taking place at every point that you get to. But notwithstanding, we have EFCC, ICPC, I'm sure they are already on ground. I don't know if that, of course, will not affect the outcome of tomorrow's election, looking at what you said earlier.
Absolutely, yes. We have seen a lot of videos, evidences on social media of people trying to induce voters with rice and food items. We've even seen a video where people have been given money and they are asked to take a oath that they will vote for a particular party, and all sorts of videos have been flying about on social media. It is regrettable that people still want to induce voters in this day and age. I believe if a candidate is capable, they believe they have the prerequisite of emerging as the governor or as the preferred choice of the people, they should be able to go into these elections based on their track record instead of inducing voters. I hope that the security agencies would not be complacent regarding the issue of vote buying. Vote buying itself and voter inducement is actually a crime under the Electoral Act. Sadly, we saw it in the last all-cycle elections in Ekiti, where people were being paid blatantly in broad daylight to go and vote for a particular candidate of the party. Apart from that, we also saw many videos who claimed that she got paid 15,000 naira and she voted for a particular party. So you know, the security agencies, the EFCC, the police, the ICPC, they should be vigilant tomorrow. They should ensure that there is no chance for voter inducement whatsoever. No party should be spared. They should be seen as being impartial and being up to the task, because quite frankly, this does not help our democracy in any way. I also expect the party leaders, the candidates themselves, to encourage and educate their followers that they should not subject themselves to ridicule by getting all these peanuts from people. People should be able to vote their conscience without getting paid. So I also expect the security agencies, like a joint press. I expect the army, the EFC, and the police to do like a joint press conference tonight, telling the people to feel free to come out and vote, to assure them that the atmosphere is going to be calm, that they will be in control station. So that will be reassuring for the people to come out tomorrow, knowing fully well that they will be protected from intimidation.
Okay, Mr. Coming back to the studio now, Mr. Adelui, it's interesting to talk about vote buying at every election in Nigeria, and yes, irrespective of how the candidate is popular, irrespective of what he has done for the people, for the state, that of course is also an aspect. What can you say about that? The people in our democracy now.
The vote buying of the things is not peculiar to one political parties. You will just be amazed that it's all the political parties that do vote buying.
That's exactly what I'm
saying. But they do it,
effective of
they do it according to how buoyant, what I want to say is how the quantum of money they have to expend in the election. I just hope that the EFCC, all the security agencies, the ICPC, they be on ground. And I want to appeal to our people that we should change our orientations. We should not say that we are not giving money, we are not going to vote. That has made virtually all the parties are engaging in vote buying. You just have to pay according to how rich or how.
Is that really going to be or play a major role in tomorrow's election?
It's going to have effects.
We have EFCC sounding alarms, putting people on check, politicians under scrutiny, and you also have the president also coming out. You recall what happened last week? I think it was last week. When the account of the state government was actually frozen, and then the president had to come out to say that he was embarrassed that happened to the state account. And there were allegations of diversion of funds meant for the development of the state. And you have all that going on. EFCC that did the act was also put under scrutiny by Mr. President. Of course, they were doing their job. Are that really not taking a toll, when it comes to what happens tomorrow? Or that incident actually reduce what could happen, talking about the election proper tomorrow?
I will just wish that the EFCC should be up and doing in discharging their duties tomorrow. What they did, that you just mentioned, that they have to post no bill action on state government accounts. No matter how effective they might think they are doing their job, the timing of that action will be so suspicious.
What do you mean timing? If something is going on and it is within their jurisdiction to do what is necessary,
yes.
I've been contesting that timing conversation. Maybe you enlighten me.
Please let me just explain myself. Apart from the elections that want to happen in Osun State, there are other responsibilities of government that they have to do. If they are now, because of the election, they are now post no bill on their account, that means the government will paralyze. Some other activities of the government will have to put on stay. So that's what I mean by the timing. And even the government of Osun State will also have to make some. The security is not just the federal government's responsibility alone. The state on its own have to prepare for the election. So the timing, what president has said is that the president does not say that they cannot apprehend any wrongdoings in the government, but the timing of that.
What if they decide, not talking about Osun State now, what if they just decided to do what they needed to do, using that time frame factor as well as it?
EFCC is a government-created agency, and they have their functions duly specified in the act that created them. That's not issue about that. But you can also hear the president where he said that action, he did not like it. He frowned at it. The timing of it is what people are being suspicious of. Okay,
let me engage Mr. Akinyemi now. We're talking about vote buying, and it is critical to talk about this because for any winner to come out, it's important that the winner is chosen voluntarily by the people. We see that people complain about what happens in terms of what government is delivering as dividend of democracy, and it starts from there. How have you been able to also perform your duty with conscience? So now tell us, what do you think would happen in Osun State tomorrow with regard to INEC saying they are prepared, and gladiators, political gladiators now, having their own affairs, doing their own thing as well? How can they support INEC to make tomorrow's election a success?
Well, judging by the rhetoric, I think the ruling party, the APC, they are hell-bent in trying to get that state by all means from the incumbent. However, what we have seen is that the people seem to be behind the governor. They've been resolute, they've been firm. If you monitor social media, you will see that every nook and cranny of that Osun state, the support for the governor has been massive, right? This is probably
you said social media.
Hello, can you hear me?
You said social media.
Yes, I mean,
if
you are not on ground in Osun, but if you monitor the videos and pictures on social, because I monitor all parties, I monitor the ADC, I monitor the APC, and obviously the incumbent Accord Party. The fact remains that the governor seems to enjoy a huge followership and a bigger level of support than the other parties.
Based on
right?
What you monitor on social media, right?
That's correct, because these are live. These are videos from the states. You can see the rallies, the campaigns, the street walks. You know, the governor enjoys huge popularity. We can't. There's no ambiguity about that. I'm not saying that the other contenders do not have followership. I'm not saying that. But what seems to be happening, and based on the rhetoric that the opposition parties have been putting out there seems to be an orchestrated attempt to grab the state by all costs, which itself is eating up the polity. And so, are we going to see vote buying tomorrow? Yes, I think we're going to see vote buying, because the state actors are determined to woo the voters by any means necessary. The leaders have said. I watched ex-governor Yetola, the kind of statement that he has said on TV during the campaigns, that regardless of whatever happens, they want to collect the state from Adeleke. So they are prepared to deploy all tricks in the book. So, however, going back to vote buying, I think we're going to see vote buying, definitely, because these people are going to bring money. And I'm not saying it is peculiar to one political party. I'm not saying that. People will want to, by any means necessary, get the voters to their side. It is wrong. It is against the law to buy votes, and it will be nice to see the security agencies being proactive and ensuring that vote buying is reduced to the barest minimum, that people are able to vote based on their conscience for the candidate that they want. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So this is what is expected of security agencies. It will be fair to see the police, keeping a tab on all the parties, because, for example, in the last election in Ekiti, there are allegations that the ruling party APC were buying votes and the police were there, but they were looking the other way around. We have to ensure that this kind of occurrence doesn't repeat itself in Ekiti. The police have to make sure that they are for everybody. If party A is buying votes, they need to move into them and ensure that they stop the voting, the vote buying. Same thing for party B. There should not be any sort of partiality. And talking of the people, we are still a very poor country. And I say that with all regret. People are poor. Nigeria has one of the lowest GDP, or per capita income. So 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira is a lot to many people. We've seen this thing happen so many times. So the people are tempted to collect the money and vote. So, but it is down to the security agencies to ensure that this does not become the order of the day. People should be able to vote on merit, not by financial inducement or by being given rice or giving bread and stuff like that. The agencies must be proactive, and this must be across political parties. That is how we can ensure that the result of the elections has credibility.
So let's also talk about the people more now, because of course you check the interest. He talked about the social media, what is trending on different platforms, and we have been calling for engagement of the politicians when it comes to who is going to become what and what they are going to do to change the fate of the people. He just talked about poverty being on the high side in this country, and what individual government is doing to ensure that this is not a story that we keep repeating. Do you think the people are actually engaging the issues related to the development of Osun State at different levels of their engagement? Or do you just think it's all about who brings the biggest cash or something?
The voters populations is a general thing. People that vote in Osun tomorrow are not political card carrying members. And people think that when the election is coming, that is when they can have their share. Because that is the only time that politicians come around to tell them vote for me. And when you are, it's like they have said that that's the time for trade and barter system of exchange. That you give us money, we also give you food. I think our people, there should be a lot of reorientation of our people from that aspect of, if you don't give me money, I will not vote. If somebody have to buy your food, then it should not be, those funds have to be recouped when the person eventually emerged. So I think there should be a lot of reorientation of the masses about being capitalized on, if you don't give me money, I will not vote for you. Generally, so many people will collect money, but some will go and vote about what their conscience has them to do without demanding for any money from any of the candidates or the parties. But then beyond, the rate of poverty is so high. If you are asking somebody that you should not go and collect that 2 Congos of rice, you should be able to make provision for that.
We've done a lot of amendments when it comes to the 2022 Electoral Act, just to curtail the excesses of the gladiators and of course the people as well. And you have a penalty being meted out in one of the acts. It says the person who induces another person to vote or refrain from voting through money, gift, promises or other consideration can face, on conviction, a maximum fine of 500,000 naira, imprisonment for up to 12 months or both. And yes, you also have a voter who accepts money, gift, or other valuable consideration in exchange for voting or not voting. He's also guilty of bribery and faces the same maximum penalty. The law is always being referred to as a guiding principle, a guiding document during elections, and is looking more like we're just backing. We can't really bite because of course this is what is written in the law. And yes, every time you have flying evidences on social media that this party is paying this party is paying that, and like you all said, we both said this afternoon, tomorrow is going to be another reality when it comes to vote buying, if that's if all we've said here will be correct by tomorrow. What is the position of the law? Can this really be effected?
Yes, the presenter, I will tell you that the Nigerians have good laws. We have laws. Our laws are seriously taking care of every issue that we're having. Yes, that's the law. That's the position of law as it is. But then, these people that are buying foods, they have gone more scientific. Some people will not have to come to polling booths to give you money. Some people will advance. They will have paid you in advance. They have the record of the voters. They can get onto them before the election. They can meet them. They can think and exchange hands before the elections. Tomorrow we see the security agencies on the polling booth trying to curtail who is bringing money, who is inducing people. But some have really collected this thing before the election. They have their list. They have how to be them. So it is not that we did not have law that guides against all these issues we are raising now. Vote buying. We have. But people are very smart that they want to walk around the law. But above all, we still have some people that will be apprehended tomorrow. Now, when you have some of these people doing vote buyings, the law should take its full course. If people see that somebody that was engaged in vote buying in the last election was apprehended, the law allowed to take its full course, it will deter some other people from going through that way. But when some of them are apprehended, they are caught in the act, and even at being caught, we just see that nothing much is done. So this will not deter people. The law should be allowed to take its full course. Whoever caught in the act of vote buyings should be treated according to what we have in our laws of the land.
Mr. Akinyemi, it's important to also talk about, helping security agencies to do their jobs, the people of the state, to reduce violence. What more can they do, or can we do together to ensure that violence is curtailed to the barest minimum tomorrow?
Well, like I said, the buck stops on the political leaders' tables, okay, because they know these people. All politics is local. They control these people, and it is their own conduct and the rhetoric that they push out there that will enlighten the people to conduct themselves in the right way for the elections. The kind of rhetoric we've got even from the top in this particular election is not really encouraging. If we want to have free, fair, peaceful elections, our leaders must ensure that the rhetoric that they push out there would inspire the people, encourage them to vote according to their conscience. That is not, elections are not do or die. We've once had a president in this country who said that his ambition is not worth the blood of every Nigerian. Okay? And we've also now seen where the president has said that all is fair in politics. So when we go when from the top we have that sort of rhetoric, what do you expect to happen at the lower level, at the grassroots? It is going to encourage desperation. People see elections as a matter of life and death. That is why you are hearing so many death threats. A sitting senator, two-time senator, saying that if any party comes there, they're going to be killed and stuff like that. This rhetoric from the leaders, is what is causing the problem. Can ensure that they preach peace, that elections are not war. Then the foot soldiers at the grassroots will comply. They will fall in line. At the end of the day, if you want to govern over people, you don't have to kill and mind them before you govern over them. It's a contest. There has to be a winner at the end of the day. There has to be a loser. So what's important is going to the election with the right attitude and the right rhetoric. All this brigandry, wanting to win by all costs, or we're going to take the state by all costs, it's not going to help anyone. It's just going to continue eating up the polity. It's going to lead to loss of lives. It's going to lead to destroying of properties and all that, which is not really helping us as a nation. We've had 27 years of democracy. We are still at this stage of people fighting and killing themselves because they want elective positions. How does that help anyone? So it has to come from the top. The leadership has to demonstrate that, democracy is democracy. It's for the people. The power to choose the leader rests with the people, and it is the track record of the leaders and politicians that will make people vote. It's not by wanting to vote, wanting to win by all means, and using all sort of dangerous.
I like the fact that you quoted, two leaders, and of course those quotes actually have context. Different context was when those comments were made by the two leaders. And of course, let's talk about INEC. INEC has been telling us that they are ready. They keep saying they are ready for, tomorrow for everything. Of course, the sensitive materials they've started distributing some. And of course, you also have the mock conducted, saying that there are glitches with beavers, failures, technicalities, and all that have been recorded during the mock exercise. I don't know if INEC would really give any problem tomorrow, talking about the glitches that we experience when conducting elections from their side.
We are expecting INEC to be up and doing tomorrow, because INEC cannot afford to fail over 2 million voters in Osun State. Our discussion should not be that we are not allowed to vote beavers issues, beaver agitation should not be what we'll be discussing about. INEC should be prepared, and I heard them, they say they are well prepared for us, and I hope they will be what they have said they are going to do. INEC should be well prepared. Let whoever eligible voters, let them vote. Let our discussion move beyond the INEC imperfections, the INEC irregularities, the INEC shortcomings. No, let people come out and decide who they want to be their governor tomorrow. So we just appeal to INEC. The process is on now. We know that distribution of INEC materials is ongoing. The preparation in top tier, but then we just appeal to INEC that they should not disappoint Nigerians, because all eyes are on Osun election. But after this one, we are going to full cycle election by January, February, and this is going to be a test, the trial for the next one we should expect. So they should be up and running. They should give us what we expect of them. They should not disappoint Nigerians.
Okay, Mr. Akiemi, can you also give us your view about INEC? We've been talking about the trust deficit on the part of the politicians to the citizens. And yes, from INEC as well, people are skeptical as to whether a free, fair election would take place. And they have been, saying this over and over again, that it is always not from their end when it comes to free, fair, and credible elections. They are ready for that. Can you tell us what you think about that?
Okay, so I think INEC has the elections tomorrow. They have the election to redeem themselves and prove to Nigerians that they are indeed independent. Okay, they are indeed going to live up to their name as the Independent National Electoral Commission. That they are independent of interference from above, because I remember this particular Osun State in 2018, where Adeleke and Oyetola contested, and whilst the vote was being counted, the INEC returning officer actually paused through the counting of the votes to go and make a phone call. And when he came back, the election was declared inconclusive. We do not want to hear inconclusive election tomorrow. INEC must ensure, because they've had months, they've had years to plan for this election. They have a humongous budget to spend on this election. I expect them to have put their contingency plans in place. We should not hear any network failure. If they can't rely on Nigerian networks, they can pay for Starlink, okay, to give them internet via satellite. Do you understand? They can have the contingency plans in terms of internet and backup, so that we won't hear issues of Beavers has failed or IRF has failed. They should prepare for that. Secondly, they should ensure that the results are being uploaded based on the way it should be. Results from each polling unit should be uploaded in real time. As long as the votes are being counted, snapped, the sheets signed by the voting officer, they should be uploaded to the INEC server, so that everybody would have a clear picture.
Okay.
Not be any mago
because
or
of
any
our time,
manual writing
a public commentator and of course a politician, you've actually demonstrated that you are a stakeholder when it comes to the Nigerian democracy. Thank you so much for being our guest and sharing your insight on Political Update today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. I also want to appreciate Prince Tosin Adeluye. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on the program. We appreciate every bit of what you shared.
You're welcome. Thank you very
We
much.
hope that we have a successful election tomorrow.
Yeah, that's our prayer.
That's our prayer on political updates. Yes, the people will decide in Osun State. And yes, when you talk about democracy, it has to do with the people. It is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So go out tomorrow. If you're in Osun State, exercise your franchise and be part of the process. And this is where we draw the curtains on this edition of Political Update. Next week will be another time on the program. Bye for now.